The hardest part of getting anything done isn't doing the work, it's starting the work. It's that invisible force that holds you on the couch when you know you should be at the gym. It's the gravitational pull of your phone when a deadline is looming. It's the profound, unshakable feeling of being stuck. We call it procrastination. We blame it on laziness, on a lack of discipline, on a failure of motivation. But what if it's none of those things? What if the force keeping you stuck is the same one that governs the movement of planets and the trajectory of stars? What if the solution to your productivity problem isn't in a new app or a trendy life hack, but in a 300-year-old law of physics discovered by Sir Isaac Newton? By the end of this video, you will understand Newton's first law of motion not as a high school physics lesson, but as the most powerful mental model you can use to defeat procrastination, build unstoppable momentum, and fundamentally change the trajectory of your life. This isn't about motivation. This is about physics. Let's start with the part of the law we all intuitively understand, even if we don't think about it. Newton's first law states, an object at rest stays at rest, unless acted upon by an external force. It's simple. A book on a table doesn't suddenly fly into the air. A parked car doesn't start rolling on its own. They have inertia, a resistance to any change in their state of motion. And the more mass an object has, the more inertia it has, and the more force is required to get it moving. Now think about your own life. You sitting on the couch thinking about the project you need to start are that object at rest. The project itself isn't just a project. It has mass, the perceived difficulty, the uncertainty, the fear of not doing it perfectly. All of this adds to its psychological mass, increasing its inertia. This is why starting feels so hard. You're not just fighting a feeling, you're fighting the physics of your own inaction. Your brain, seeking to conserve energy, wants to remain at rest. Procrastination isn't a moral failing, it's a state of high inertia. So, how do you apply the external force? This is where most productivity advice gets it wrong. They tell you to get motivated, to visualize the finish line, but physics tells us something far more practical. To move a massive object, you don't need a single heroic push. You need a sufficient, focused initial force. This is the logic behind the famous 2-minute rule, popularized by author James Clear. The action is this. Whatever task you're avoiding, force yourself to do it for just 2 minutes. Want to go for a run? Just put on your running shoes and step outside. That's it. Want to write a report? Just open a new document and write one sentence. You are not trying to complete the task. You are simply applying the necessary external force to overcome the initial state of rest. You are giving the boulder that first crucial nudge. This is where the law becomes your greatest ally. The second half of Newton's law is, and an object in motion stays in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an external force. This is the magic of momentum. That impossibly heavy boulder that took so much effort to start moving, once it's rolling, it wants to keep rolling. It now has momentum. It takes far less energy to keep it moving than it took to start it. This is the state of flow we all crave. After those first 2 minutes of forcing yourself to work, something incredible happens. The mental resistance drops. The task no longer feels like a mountain. You've overcome the inertia of rest and now have the inertia of motion on your side. Your brain has switched from resist mode to engage mode. This is why the hardest part of a workout is getting to the gym. Once you're there and moving, your body wants to keep moving. The hardest part of writing is the first paragraph. Once the words are flowing, they want to keep flowing. The actionable insight here is to fiercely protect your momentum. The law states that an object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an external force. What are the external forces in your life? A notification on your phone, a coworker asking a quick question, your own impulse to check social media. These are the forces of friction and distraction that will grind your momentum to a halt. The action, therefore, is to engineer an environment for uninterrupted motion. Turn off your phone, close unnecessary tabs, set a timer for 60 minutes, and commit to ignoring everything else. When you are an object in motion, your single most important job is to remove the external forces that seek to put you back at rest. There's a critical third dimension to this law. Inertia isn't always positive. An object in motion stays in motion in the same direction. This means that bad habits have momentum too. Mindlessly scrolling through social media for an hour is an object in motion. Eating junk food every night is an object in motion. Complaining about your problems without taking action is an object in motion. These negative patterns have powerful inertia. They are easy to continue and incredibly difficult to stop. To change their direction, you need to be the unbalanced force. Changing the course of a moving supertanker doesn't happen instantly. It requires a small, consistent force applied over time. The rudder. You cannot simply decide to stop a bad habit with willpower alone. That's like trying to stop a freight train by standing in front of it. You need to be smarter. You need to apply strategic force. The action here is to introduce friction. Friction is the unbalanced force that slows things down. If you want to stop mindlessly checking your phone, make it harder to do. Move the social media apps to a folder on the last page. Set a grayscale screen. Log out of your accounts after each use. Each of these actions is a small application of friction that acts as an external force on your negative momentum. Conversely, if you want to build a good habit, you must remove friction. If you want to read more, leave a book on your pillow. If you want to eat healthier, prep your meals in advance. You are deliberately changing the physics of your environment to make your desired trajectory the path of least resistance. For centuries, we've looked at Newton's first law and seen the physical world, but the blueprint for human behavior has been there all along. An object at rest stays at rest. An object in motion stays in motion. Inertia is not your enemy or your friend. It is simply a neutral law of the universe, as reliable as gravity. The critical question is, which side of the equation will you live on? Most of our frustration and failure comes from fighting this law, from wishing it were easier to start or easier to stop. The wisdom of this law is to stop fighting it and start using it. Accept that starting is hard, and focus all your energy on a force small enough to overcome the initial inertia, just 2 minutes. Once you are in motion, protect that momentum with everything you have because it is your most precious asset. And when you find yourself hurtling in the wrong direction, don't rely on a heroic act of willpower. Instead, become a strategic external force. Apply small points of friction consistently over time until the massive ship of your habits begins to turn. You are the external force in your own life. You have the power to put things in motion, and you have the power to change their direction. That is the promise of physics applied to human potential. So now I turn the question to you. What is the one object at rest in your life right now? What is the one task or goal you've been procrastinating on? In the spirit of applying this law today, what is the 2-minute action you can take to apply that first essential external force? Share your commitment in the comments below. Let's create a community of objects in motion. And if you found value in this way of thinking, subscribe for more no BS wisdom that cuts through the noise. Thank you for watching.